ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It is Thursday, July 25th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour is going to be 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Open text line throughout the show today. We're going to get you caught up on everything that's happening. Been watching Olympic soccer earlier today. The USA women started play against Zambia, and they beat Zambia 3-0 in Group B play. So the USA on the women's side off to a good start. The men, however, lost to France 3-0 in Wednesday's group play. So not very good start for the men. Probably the big story is going to be next few days. We're going to talk about the NBA signing that 11-year media rights deal with Disney, NBC, and Amazon Prime Video. That deal is worth approximately $76 billion over 11 years. That's $7 and $6 billion with a B. The league did decline Warner Brothers Discovery's $1.8 billion offer. That was a per-year offer. Again, they were challenging and going to be continuing to challenge, actually. They're going to take legal action now. They were trying to match the Amazon Prime Video component. Same time, the WNBA announcing a really big deal for them, 11-year media rights deal with Disney, Amazon Prime, and NBC, which is valued about $200 million per year. So that's a pretty big deal for the WNBA. I'm not saying that's the Caitlin Clark effect, but the league has been growing. There's a lot more people interested in it. And I will say that's kind of the Caitlin Clark effect going on there. So I get in the office earlier today, and I really didn't pay much attention to what happened in the basketball tournament. Heard that's done. So I'm not on top of it like my guy Bill Cornwell is. So Bill comes in and hands me his sportscast from this morning because I like to look at his notes in the morning sometimes just to see if there's anything I missed. And he's like, "We got the matchup we wanted." I'm like, well, what is this we stuff? What are you talking about? What is this we stuff? We got the matchup we wanted. Okay. Yeah, Louisville, the Ville beat Team DRC. So it's going to be La Familia and the Ville. We got the matchup we wanted. Bill, what is this we stuff again? You're rooting against her that? What's this we stuff? No, I'm not on board with that. No. Yeah, that's not the matchup I was looking for here. The Ville and La Familia. Anything, I do want La Familia to win only because they beat her that. So I kind of like to think that her that got beat by a team that's going to go to the semis or maybe even make it to the championship game. Carmen's crew got the win over Heartfire 74-70. So the Ohio State alumni continue. They will face off against TakeOver BC on Monday in Louisville. So the TBT continues for those of you that are following at home. For me, not so much. Heard that's done. I think I'm done with the TBT, but still some good basketball being played there. I won't deny that. Appalachian League action. Danville got the win over the Coalcats yesterday, 6-1. We've got the game coming up tonight right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. 6:50 is going to be our air time. Jason Toy and Woody Woodrum will have the call of that one. And last night after the game, Tommy Gregg talked to us a little bit about his team, showing a lack of energy with the struggles of pitchers allowing walks. Tommy also, he talked a little bit about the reasoning for not playing the 5 All-Stars.
Well, we out-hit them. Yeah, not a lot of energy tonight. We walked some guys that end up scoring anytime, especially when you walk a leadoff guy, they're going to score a majority. We left a lot of guys on base. Yeah, just a little bit disappointing showing tonight. 2 days off, and I had a couple. We had 5 guys in All-Star game, so I didn't want to play them. Want to give them a day off, so I didn't have best lineup I could probably put out there, but I wanted to give those guys a break. But we'll get back at it tomorrow. And then you're making them 2 mistakes to a guy has the best power in the league, But having pitched, I thought he pitched great, we only gave up 2 hits, but you can't walk guys in this league. They score.
That's how it happens. You walk guys, and then the guy comes up and knocks one out. Those were some deep shots, too. If you hadn't seen the video, you didn't watch it, weren't at the game, those were some deep shots. That was impressive hitting yesterday at the ballpark. Now, Tommy also talked about Jack Brooker's solid performance in relief. He was impressed with him, he said, with his performance and how his strong performance comes from when he's ahead in counts against batters and just how he struggles when he's behind in the count.
Yeah, I mean, it could make a difference with, him not having to think about starting. He, gets more time, kind of to let the game develop a little bit. But I think the main thing for him is when he's getting ahead in the count early, he's got really good stuff. And then, he's got to keep the ball in the zone more. But when he gets ahead, his stuff works pretty good. They start chasing a little bit more. They get anxious. But, when he's 2-0 on hitters, it's hard for him to come back, get back in it. So, but I just like the way I like his stuff. He's more confident on the mound right now. So, yeah, I thought he pitched well.
Tommy also talked about the guys who did make the All-Star game, how he was proud of them for being a part of that, and how the main goal with the All-Star game was for the players just to have a good time.
I thought they did great. Yeah, I'm glad they got a lot of playing time, and all our guys said they had a great time. That was kind of the whole thing about it. Just go there, have a good time, and participate, and whatever happens, happen. But they ended up playing really well. So, and then Logan got to start, which was great, and Michael too. So, yeah, it was a good experience for him.
Now, Tommy talked about the team not being aggressive enough on the first pitch, talked about him taking too many strikes, and how he wants his team to be aggressive on that first pitch. Also, he talked about some things in this next cut, just about facing the pitcher for the first time and can cause batters just to want to take on the first pitch. And he also, in this cut, talks about how after seeing the pitcher for the first time, batters typically get better results when being aggressive on the first pitch.
Well, we have a couple guys that swing the first pitch all the time, and they rarely get a hit. So I don't know if they're thinking about that it's going to upset me but I want guys going there being aggressive, and if that first pitch cookie's right down the middle, I want you taking a good hack. But at the same time, I always preach, if you have not faced this pitcher before your face and don't have a history with him, then your first at bat, you might want to take a pitch and just get into the at bat, see the ball out of his hand, see the release point. For instance, Jack Smith swings first pitch a lot, and when he does, he usually makes an out. But when he gets into the bat, he puts better swings on balls and ends up being a lot better hitter. As a player, I like to swing at the first pitch. Never my first at bat. I always wanted to see the pitcher first, and after that, though, I'm going up there ready to go. So I want these guys not to take fastballs right down the middle, after their first at bat. But you're right, I saw that a lot tonight too.
That's Tommy Gregg. Coldcats back in action tonight. We got the game for you. 6:50 airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We'll open the text line up for you now, 304-396-TALK. Again, that's 304-396-8255. Now, when Marshall takes the field in a few weeks, it's going to be year number 4 for Marshall football coach Charles Huff. And when that happens, there are going to be a lot of questions about, is this going to be his final year? Will there be a new contract for him? How's he going to do? And then will there be a contract based on performance? If he does really well, of course, you would hope to extend him. If he doesn't do so well, what's that look like? Will there be a contract offer for him? Well, he was at Sunbelt Media Days, and Luke Creasy was there for HD Media. And Luke talked to him a little bit about what that looks like as far as his contract's concerned. And we'll talk a little bit about that and then what your expectations are compared to what maybe you heard from Coach Huff, read from Coach Huff. And honestly, I think your viewpoint's probably going to differ a little bit from where he's at, and maybe rightfully so, after all. I wouldn't talk too much about contract negotiations either or what that looks like. My focus would be on the season and just the season, and trying to get this team to a point where everybody wants it to be. But he talked a little bit about that and what the expectations are. Also, we'll get to the text line. Got a little catching up to do from the text line yesterday as well. Here's one. We didn't get this one in yesterday. And since we were talking about the TBT just a minute ago, texter wrote in and said, Paul, at the end of the day, heard that got beat by the better team. And Ott Elmore looked dumb wearing a hat backwards. Kids love that, man. I mean, I'm not saying Ott's a kid anymore, but kids love that. They love wearing the hats in really stupid positions these days. They also don't bend the bill anymore. They keep the flat bill sometimes. Our intern, our producer, Ben Anderson, just crunched his bill a little bit more just because he thought I was talking about him. It wasn't about him, but that was smart on your part. Yeah, I mean, look, the TBT, it's really good basketball, but it's casual. It's lax out there, man. It's really casual. They're having a good time. They're playing really hard. I'm not saying this is super rec ball. There are some good players out there. There's some good teams out there. But at the end of the day, yeah, heard that had a nice team. La Familia was just better. So we'll get more of your text in, but when we continue, let's open that text line up a little bit. What do you think about the contract situation for Marshall football coach Charles Huff? Are you happy with the opportunity for him to be the head coach the following year? Do you think there's certain things that have to be done for him to maybe warrant an extension? I'm going to leave that up to you, but we'll talk about it when we continue on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Giovanni's has great Italian dishes. Spaghetti with meat sauce, lasagna, ravioli, manicotti, all dinners served with hot garlic bread or Italian rolls. Giovanni's, the Italian place to be.
Let the good times roll. Downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event is back. It's Mount West Ninth Street Live, presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beast, La Marca Prosecco, and Matua Sauvignon Blanc. This Friday, it's Xfinity High-Speed Internet Night with William Matheny and Ginger Wicks. Music starts at 7 on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for Friday, August 2nd, when 9th Street is Dead, featuring John Ingram's Dead Center and the music of the Grateful Dead. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August 16th. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and Kendrick Communications.
Mom, it's school shopping time.
On it. Ooh, Target has select supplies like crayons and glue sticks for 25 cents, plus markers for 50 cents.
Next, my new Rockstar vibe means new clothes.
Ooh, totally. These graphic tees are $6 and made to last.
And a strawberry lunch bag to match my sweet personality.
Got it, and it's only $5. Let's get your favorite Good and Gather snacks. They're now at a new lower price.
Best team ever.
When it comes to low prices, Target has your back to school. My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine. Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hey, it's Lex and Terry, K&B Pest Control, locally owned and operated in Huntington, West Virginia, serving the tri-state.
Man, these guys are great. They do residential and commercial, indoor, outdoor, free estimates. These guys are the best, I'm telling you.
This is when the critters come out. High customer ratings, satisfaction guaranteed, large fleet, crew, meaning same-day appointments, and quick service.
All you got to do is pick up your phone and call Patrick, the owner. Okay, that's what you got to do. Or Becca. They're standing by to take care of you guys. It's KNBPestControl.com online, and give them a call, man. They got a great Facebook page. Go ahead and like it. They got a phone number. We'll give you that. Why not? It's free. 304-523-4281.
Or go to KNBPestControl.com. They will tell you what everything looks like, what you're looking for, if you're getting a pest problem, and get on top of it. They're the best. Make sure you call Patrick once again, who is very passionate about his pest control, or Becca. K&B Pest Control. They'll kill for your business.
Trust the guys with over 40 years of experience at K&B Pest Control.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
We continue on with this Thursday edition of the show. Paul Swann, your host. Ben Anderson, our producer. Our text line this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So Sunbelt Media Days wrapping up, and Coach Huff was in attendance, participating, interviewing, and one of the things he talked about, and Luke Creasy was there from HD Media. He got a chance to go down and actually cover the entire event. And if you didn't read the article, here's the too long didn't read summary. Coach Huff is in the final year of his contract, and there are ongoing talks for an extension. And so there have been discussions. This has been going on for quite a while now. And Coach Huff, he emphasized a sustainable future for the program. And he stated that there is no pressure to win a specific number of games for a new contract, and those plans will be disclosed soon. So there are not metrics that at least we understand for the new contract. So that means if he's 6-6, does that play into this? If he's 7-6, does that play into it? If he wins 4 games, does that play into it? But that was sort of the idea of this, was there was no pressure to win a specific number of games for a new contract. Now, he is entering the final year of the 4-year contract, and those extension talks, according to Luke's coverage, been taking place since early 2022, and some of that was sparked after the victory against Notre Dame. I mean, that's a big win. Now, what has Coach Huff done while he's been the coach at Marshall University? He's got a winning record. He's 22-17. He was 7-6 in his first season. He was 9-5 in his second season, and he was 6-7 in his last season. That was his first losing season. So you go from 7-6 to 9-5. Nice improvement there from year 1 to year 2. And then you drop back down 6-7. And he said, when it comes to the plan, he said, there is a plan in house. And again, I'm quoting from Luke's story. There is a plan in house. We have not announced that plan, but we're not sitting here waiting to say, okay, if you don't win the championship, then you're gone. And he added there's timing and things that come with that, and we're trying to be creative with what we want to do, the administration and myself. Now, do you feel this is the right path to go when it comes to evaluating the coach? Are we looking at this the wrong way? Are wins and losses the true and only metric here? Because there could be things that are going on behind the scenes that we're not privy to. There could be things that need to be done to put Marshall in a better position, and maybe the administration thinks that Coach Huff is going to be the guy and that the wins and losses will come, but it's going to take a little longer. Maybe that Marshall wasn't in the best situation when it made the move to a new conference, a very competitive conference in the Sun Belt. We found out real quick that the Sun Belt was a good league, that the football was better. It definitely is better than what it is in Conference USA, with the exception of Liberty, the newer member of the league. Conference USA maybe not as well regarded as the Sun Belt, and there's a survey that's been taken. It was conducted by the New York Times and The Athletic, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as far as people are pretty happy with the way that things are being run in the Sun Belt. It's regarded as one of the better G5 leagues. There's no question. It's got a little clout to it. Now, again, apples and oranges compared to, say, the Big 12, the Big 10, the ACC, the SEC. But things are competitive in this league. And Marshall is right in the center of a league. Like institutions, there's an opportunity to be competitive. So what should the metrics be when it comes to evaluating what those benchmarks should be as far as a new contract or a contract extension? Are wins and losses the most important thing? What's important to you? Because we're going from 6-7. So anything better than 6-7 would be an improvement. Going from 6-7 to what? And there are a couple of tough games on the schedule as well. Ohio State. What does the future look like if Marshall beats Virginia Tech and Ohio State? And then you're thinking, okay, well, beat Ohio State, beat Virginia Tech. How can you part ways with this guy? He's beat Notre Dame. There's some signature wins on his resume. He's done some good things here. So what is the problem when Marshall can't translate that to future success? I mean, we take the Notre Dame game, for example. Notre Dame, huge win for the Thundering Herd, and then there's a nightmare game afterwards, Bowling Green. That kind of shot us all and brought us down from the high. So what are the metrics we're looking at here? Is it 7 wins? Is that too low? Is it 8 wins? Is it 9 wins? Are we talking about 10-win season? Is that what we're looking at here? Marshall's got to have a 10-win season. And with that schedule, can Marshall get a 10-win season? Now, is that the only metric we're looking at? Could Marshall maybe be under double digits but win the East Division? Winning season, I think that probably has to be the first thing. Winning season, right? Do we agree? And then would it be a East Division title? Okay, that's pretty good. That would be good. Winning season, East Division title. What about a Sun Belt Conference championship? For me, those are the 3 goals every year as far as the wins and losses are concerned. Winning season, that's minimum. That's your ticket to entry here. You got to have a winning season. At the end of the day, did you have a winning season? Were you competing and were you competitive for the East Division? Did you win the East Division? That's got to be up there. And did you win a championship? Because Bob Pruitt made a lot of people spoiled. He did. He spoiled a lot of people. He came out, his saying was, we play for championships. And next thing you know, that's on the stationery over at the athletic department. They're sending out press releases. We play for championships. And so that's what herd fans in football want. They want to play for championships. So what championships are we talking about here? We're talking about bowl championships. And I don't like that term, bowl championships. You won a bowl. That's great. You won a bowl. And I guess it is a championship. You won the champion. You're the bowl champions. Okay, but are those the championships we're talking about? I think the championships we're talking about are the conference championships on top of the bowl. East Division, league championship, and then go after the bowl. And it's going to be a long shot, always going to be a long shot for a team in the Sun Belt to get into the college football playoff. I don't put that up there. That's a goal. Hey, get to the playoff. I wouldn't necessarily, in the way this thing's structured, I wouldn't work that in. I wouldn't bake that in. I mean, there would be some elevators and there would be some rewards there if you can manage it. But I don't think that that's right now going to be the metric that I say, okay, you didn't do this. I do say, though, the metric would be winning season, East Division championship, and also league championship. Texter wrote in, just said, Paul, the most diehard Marshall fan. I am the most diehard Marshall fan, but I have to be in reality. No way we hit double-digit wins this season. Schedule's too tough. We will be lucky to hit 8 wins, in my opinion. And that's not a bad evaluation. That's absolutely not a bad evaluation. I appreciate the text. So, schedule's challenging, and I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that schedule being challenging. Because, one, Virginia Tech's going to be a good road trip. Good competitive game. Winnable game. Can it be a winnable game? Should it be a winnable game? You can be competitive in that game. I think so. Then you step up a notch. And I do mean you step up with Ohio State. And that would be the biggest win, I think, on the... I don't know how to rank that win if that happened. I mean, it hasn't happened yet. But if you win that one, that's a big signature win. So those are going to be tough. Stony Brook's will win. I'm not so sure about Western Michigan because I respect Western Michigan a little bit. So I think that'll be a challenge. But I don't anticipate Marshall being 1-3 in this non-conference. 2-2 would be good. 3-1 would be great. 4-0 would be fantastic. And then we're all cooking with gas here. But then you get into the schedule and the conference, and you got App State, which was picked to win the East Division. You have Georgia Southern, that was picked ahead of you to win in the standings. They were picked 4th. You were picked 5th. Then you got Georgia State, picked dead last in the East Division. So right there, you have a game that's going to be against the top team preseason in the East Division. Then a team that's right there with you. So that should be a competitive game. And then if you go by the standings, the predicted order of finish, Georgia State should be winnable. And then you got ULM. They were picked dead last in the West Division, so those are winnable games. Southern Miss picked 6th in the West Division. That should be a winnable game right there. Coastal Carolina, they were picked third. That's always going to be a challenge. I don't care. New scheme or not. Old Dominion was picked sixth in the East Division. And then you got JMU. JMU picked second. So JMU's probably going to be among the toughest games, along with Coastal Carolina and App State. Everything else probably a toss-up, or you might have a shot here. But the ultimate question is, can Marshall win enough to have a winning record? Texter wrote in and just said 8. They think 8. Be lucky to have 8. So where are the 8 coming from? Stony Brook's 1. And we've done this, but let's just do it again. Stony Brook's 1. Let's just go ahead and say Western Michigan's 2. Let's say Georgia State's 3. ULM's 4. Southern Miss is 5. Old Dominion is 6. And then can you get a win either at Virginia Tech or Ohio State, get lucky there, or just have a great game plan? Can you knock off one of those teams that are picked ahead of you? Can you knock off an App State, or can you knock off a Georgia Southern? And really, I don't think Georgia Southern's like you knock them off. So that could be a winnable game there. And then can you get past a JMU? Can you get past a Coastal Carolina? Those teams are picked a little higher than you. And again, it's all preseason. We're just basing this off the preseason. Marshall was picked to finish 5th in the East Division. And so I think the metric here is, can Marshall manage a winning record? What if Marshall, let's just go and entertain this for a second. Let's say Marshall does not win the conference championship, but they win the East Division. So they're close. They win the East Division. They get to the championship. They don't win it. All right. That's showing signs of improvement. That means they finished first in the East Division. I think that would be fair to say, okay, there's some progress being made here. That's a good sign. We carry on. What if Marshall just has a winning season? And a winning season could be 7 wins. What if Marshall has a 7-win season? And I guess I'll count a bowl. Let's say Marshall gets to a bowl. Marshall gets to a bowl, wins the bowl. And let's say Marshall, instead of 6-7 as the team was last year, the team's 7-6. Is that good enough for you to say, all right, I want to ride with Coach Huff? Again, using wins and losses as the metric, our metric, not knowing what's going on behind the scenes. You know, maybe they're working on things long term, like, okay, we got to improve our NIL. I mean, I think I read something earlier, Ohio State, they put out, $20 million in NIL money last year, and now they're going to be able to have revenue sharing, and that's going to be, like, I think, at least 22% or so of the athletic revenue or the budget. They're going to have a lot of money to play with. They're going to get a lot of the players that are coming in that are capable of playing a high level of football, and Ohio State's going to be able to entice some of those kids. I mean, that's how the recruiting's going to work now. Some kids just come to you and say, okay, what's your NIL look like? There are going to be a lot of kids that just want to come to Marshall because, hey, I like it here. I like Coach Huff. I like Marshall. I know I'm not getting paid the way others, and that's not what it's about for me. And that's cool. There are always going to be kids that will take the money, and there's going to be kids that just want to come because they like where they're going. They like Marshall. They like Coach Huff. They like the coaches. They like the university. It's not all going to be about NIL, but you got to have those options now. You got to be able to find ways to attract, because these are going to be things that recruits are asking for now, and transfer portal. You got to be able to attract the best you can attract. You got to be able to retain the best you can retain, and you're going to have to still make sure it's sustainable. I mean, this isn't going to be like pro football where, okay, we're going to go all in and we're going to cash out now so we can win a championship, and then it's going to fall apart. You have to keep it sustainable. So we don't know what they're talking about. We don't know what those negotiations look like. I don't know if there is a mandate, because after all, if there is a mandate, like you got to do this, this, and this, am I outlining that to you? If I'm Charles Huff, am I like, yeah, Luke, here's what it is. I got to win 8 games for them to even talk to me. You think he's going to say that? But again, if you read the article that Luke wrote, he said there's no pressure to win a certain number of games to get a new contract, but we want to make sure we put ourselves in a good situation. So what if Marshall wins 6 games? 6 games, no bowl. Finish 6-6. Are you saying, all right, year 5, we're going to be better? Also, are you going to look at what he's done maybe with the culture of the program and how the program's moving forward? Are you going to be able to say, look, it's a different landscape and it's going to take time. Marshall's going to have to, as an institution, put itself in a position to be able to compete not only for NIL dollars to retain the best and to attract the best, but you're going to have to make sure that you're doing it as well, if not better, than the teams in your conference. You got to make sure that you're matching what everyone else is doing. Can Marshall match right now what is happening at other schools? It's not just about, hey, here's how much we can offer. It's here's what we can do, and this is what we offer, which is equal or better than what you're going to get at App State, James Madison, Coastal Carolina. I mean, you want to be competitive with the teams that are in your league. You also want to be competitive on a broader scale. And how do you do that? And so we don't know exactly what these conversations are, and the metric might not be 6 or better. It might be, okay, keep the program moving. We're going to get you what we need to get you. But just make sure you're showing us some progress. Texter wrote in and said, Paul, successful season. Your metrics plus be competitive in the losses. Case in point, the Herd lost to Ohio State a few years ago on a time-expired field goal. It was a loss, but we left the stadium with a good feeling. I appreciate that text, and that's a good point. Marshall was competitive. You didn't like that Marshall lost. You kind of felt like, could have had that one. But Marshall was competitive, and you felt good, like, okay, Marshall just came into one of the toughest atmospheres in college athletics, and Marshall almost shocked the world. Marshall almost pulled up and won. Now, can Marshall go in there and do that again? That would be something. That would be amazing to see. If Marshall could go into Columbus and pull the upset, Marshall has, at times, looked good in losses. So have a successful season and maybe show that, okay, Marshall can compete here. Marshall didn't win, but Marshall can compete. Marshall looked good in defeat. Didn't look bad against Virginia Tech. Just maybe, they out-depth charted Marshall. Maybe they had more depth. Last-second field goal, something like that. Play calling was good. Team looked good. Just wasn't their day. And you could say that for both those games. But I think you got to win the games you're supposed to, whatever that means. But you got to be competitive. So you have to have a successful season. I like this. And you got to be competitive in the losses. And I don't think we're talking about let's be competitive in a loss to, say, Georgia State. Let's be competitive in a loss if you're going to take the loss to Virginia Tech, if you're going to take a loss to Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, or be competitive in one and get the victory in the other. That would be a successful season, and maybe split those games. Got Virginia Tech. Came so close against Ohio State, but we look good. All right, got to feel good about it. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. More coming up on today's edition of The Drive. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Save big money in outdoor storage solutions now at Menards. Suncast sheds are perfect for storing toys, long-handled tools, and yard equipment. These sheds feature low-maintenance construction, easy assembly, and include a 10-year warranty. Save big money on Suncast storage sheds at Menards, America's #1 home improvement retailer for customer satisfaction, according to J.D. Power. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Save big money at Menards.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
the providers at Marshall OBGYN. Online at marshallhealth.org/OBGYN. Dutch Miller Kia, Route 60 in Barbersville, the home of friends and family pricing for everyone. Area Agency on Aging, Southern Ohio's designated aging and disability resource network.
Take a look under your bed. Find stuff under there? What about jobs? No? Now try your basement. There's a pair of overalls that overall you're not so into anymore. A perfectly good laptop that hasn't sat in your lap in months. And even more stuff, but still no jobs? Well, you really have both. See, stuff is defined as household articles considered as a group. Sometimes this stuff is no longer needed. Wait, no longer needed? That can't be right. Because remember those jobs you were looking for? Those are really needed, and they're the stuff inside your stuff. Even inside that winter coat that moved with you to Phoenix. Our job is to unlock those jobs, and it starts when you donate your stuff to your local Goodwill. Here's how we do it. When you donate to Goodwill, we sell your stuff to provide job training for people right here in your community. So just by teaming up with Goodwill, you help create jobs. And isn't that worth parting with the leftover keytar from your 80s cover band? Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think you would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line this hour is 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Let's get back to the text line. We got a lot of stuff coming in. First up, texter says, if Huff beats Ohio State, Paul, or even Virginia Tech again, he's gone, in my opinion, after this season. That's a bold statement there. That's a hot take right there. Even if Charles Huff beats Ohio State or even Virginia Tech again, he is gone in the texter's opinion. You got like a really deer in the headlight look from our producer, Ben. He was like, really? Texter says, Paul, we can't have losses like we did last year to conference teams. Losses to Coastal Carolina, Georgia State, and Appy State were unacceptable. Marshall in those games were not even competitive. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You go and you have a competitive game against Ohio State, and then you look not so good against your conference opponent. And granted, conference foes are going to know you better, but you got to maintain some level of competition. You got to look like you have a shot in these games to show some progress, because if you're not able to match up with those conference foes, you got problems. Those are going to be the problems that I anticipate for years to come until you catch up. And so we're going to find out how close has Marshall gotten to those conference foes. You can look good against an Ohio State, and then you maybe stumble out of the gates against a Western Michigan, and that's not going to look good. Texter says, Paul, it's all wild open good. I'm optimistic. The Sun Belt Conference is great conference, and Marshall needs to be great in the Sun Belt Conference. I agree. Marshall needs to be good, and this is a good league, and Marshall needs to be good in this good league. Texter says, Paul, if Marshall beats Ohio State, Coach Huff will get an extension on the spot. That's a take right there. I appreciate that. How do you say, hey, Coach Huff, I'm sorry, you beat Ohio State. Nobody else has been able to pull that off here. You did it. We can't extend your contract. Is that like an automatic? Virginia Tech's one thing. If you beat Virginia Tech, that looks good, Coach. Good job. That looks good. We need wins like that. That's a good job. You appreciate that win. That's a good win. You beat Ohio State. If you're Coach Huff and you beat Ohio State, that's like an automatic, right? Unless Marshall just falls apart completely during the conference season and just falls apart. But right there, that's worth some consideration. You pull that off, and then all of a sudden, you can have the conversation. Look, I mean, name me another coach that's beat Notre Dame. Name me another coach that beat Ohio State. Name me another one of those here at Marshall. Can you name one? I don't think you can. So, what does that mean if he gets that win possibly a contract extension. I don't know if Christian Spears is going to open up the back pocket and just go, here, oh, hey, coach, by the way, can you sign this before you go back there? We can announce it. We got that deal for you right here. I don't know if they're waving that like a carrot, like, okay, coach, you beat Ohio State, here it is. I mean, you beat Ohio State, have a really good season. Coach can maybe call his own shots. What do you think? Final segment coming up. We got to get our final break in. It's going to be a quick one, then we'll keep the text line open the rest of the way here on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Guess what, people? Wendy's has new saucy nugs. You heard me. Wendy's nugs now come in 7 saucy flavors. Buffalo, honey barbecue, garlic parm, spicy ghost pepper. You can literally hear your taste buds after every bite. I'm serious. Listen to mine. Okay, that's just me playing with sound effects. For a whole new way to nug, gotta be Wendy's.
Gotta be fresh.
Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's. Hours may vary by location.
Let the good times roll. Downtown Huntington's premier weekly music event is back. It's Mount West Ninth Street Live, presented by New Trail, Garage Beer, Big Truck, The Beast, La Marca Prosecco, and Matua's Sauvignon Blanc. This Friday, it's Xfinity High-Speed Internet Night with William Matheny and Ginger Wicks. Music starts at 7 on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Mark your calendar for Friday, August 2nd, when 9th Street is Dead, featuring John Ingram's Dead Center and the music of the Grateful Dead. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August 16th. 9th Street Live is driven by Yes Chevy, Yes Ford every Friday night through Labor Day. 9th Street in Huntington between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Marshall OBGYN, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, City of Huntington, Marshall University, Impact Media, Xfinity High-Speed Internet, One Way Septic and Rent-A-Can, and Kendrick Communications.
Thoroughbred Express Car Wash. Sign up today and your first month of any membership plan is just $10. Any single wash or membership includes Howard Vacuums, Rhino Mac Cleaner, Cleaner Spray, Microfiber Towel, Bay Trash Cans, and even Air Purge Gun Tools. Follow us online at thoroughbredexpress.com, Facebook, and Instagram for all updates, news, and promos. Thoroughbred Express Car Wash, where every wash is an adventure and every day is a shining opportunity. Check out our locations at Hal Greer Boulevard, Route 60, Hurricane, Hayes Valley, Cross Lanes, Charleston, South Point, Ashland, and Maysville.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Winner of the 2024 West Virginia Broadcasters Association Excellence in Broadcasting Award for Best Talk Show.
It's our final segment for today's edition of The Drive. Our text line is still open at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We've been talking about Coach Huff and his upcoming potential new contract. He was quoted in the Herald-Dispatch, Luke Creasy reporting, that there's no pressure to win a certain number of games to get a new contract, Coach said. He also added, but we want to make sure we put ourselves in a good situation. I think he realizes that you just can't roll in here and win 3 or 4 games and expect everyone to be happy. So he understands, I think, in that quote, you got to put yourself in a good position, but there hasn't been maybe a whiteboard where the number has been put up. Okay, Coach, you got to get 8. That's the number. Because I don't know if Herd fans are going to be happy with 6. And I'm trying to look at the schedule objectively and think, okay, which games will Marshall be favored in? Which games will Marshall be competitive in? And which games will Marshall be maybe predicted not to win? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That's our number to be a part of today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget, coming up tonight, we've got Colecats baseball back in action. The Colecats, unfortunately, losers yesterday. Jason Toy will have Game 2 of the series. This is the final home series. The Colecats in action at Jack Cook Field. Game 2 of the final 4 games tonight. 6:50 is going to be our airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Since we're still talking football, a couple of things that we didn't get to, and I don't want to ignore that. First of all, I don't know if you saw this. J.J. Roberts and Michael Green have been named to the East-West Shrine Bowl watch list. So that's good. That's good. So we're starting to see some of the lists come out. And I know we're a little disappointed that only Logan Osborne was regarded being somebody to keep an eye on. when it came to the preseason awards. Hey, he's a second-team preseason guy. I think he's better than that. He's probably one of the best players on the team, so he definitely deserved the honor, but at the same time, I'm glad to see other guys finally getting a little attention. Hey, you get named to the East-West Shrine Bowl, somebody thinks you're doing a good job. That's important. And now JJ, we're hopefully going to see a lot more of him this year. He was in 10 games last year, and of course, Green played a lot more, but you're going to need to see JJ out there a little bit more, and hopefully he's going to pull up a few more interceptions. Wouldn't it be great if J.J. Roberts got an interception, ran it back, and that's the winning touchdown against Ohio State? That'd make him a hero, wouldn't it? That'd be his herd hero moment, wouldn't that? I think so. I'm actually going to try to speak that into existence now. J.J. Roberts with the interception, runs it back. I'm sure somebody already in EA College Football 25 has already made that happen. Ben, our producer, is shaking his head. No, he's not made that happen. You haven't picked off anybody with JJ just yet? Have you picked off anybody with the interception? As Marshall? Have you picked off? Not as Marshall. I'm disappointed. Ben did nothing but talk about this video game, and then he hasn't played it that much. I'm disappointed in you, Ben. There are guys out there that have played hundreds of hours of this game already. It's been out like a week and a half. Have you played the video game? Not you, Ben, but have you played the video game yet? What's it like? Are you having a good time with it? I know we're like a week into this thing. And I hear that there's still going to be some updates to make it even better. And, they're going to update the roster and do some things like that as well. So, maybe the performance notes, I hear that only a couple players are rated well. And I even saw a couple of websites that are sports websites, like Sports Illustrated and a couple others. I think it was Sports Illustrated, but it was definitely a couple of websites that were talking about how if you're looking for a team that's a challenge to rebuild in dynasty mode, that's going to be Marshall, because the roster is not that good. So it's going to be a challenge, and it would be probably fun to play with Marshall. Marshall got high remarks for its color schemes. So a lot of people are loving the Kelly green and loving the uniforms. That's a good sign. I think, honestly, a lot of people have a good impression of Marshall. If you get outside of our bubble, there's a lot of positive being said about Marshall. If you get outside of our bubble, and I'm talking about media, our bubble, our general area, the state. If you get outside and just get like a non-Marshall fan's point of view on this, I think it's fair to say there are a lot of people that actually have a good impression of the Thundering Herd. That's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you tomorrow. It's going to be my final day for a bit. We're ramping up next week. We've already got Luke Creasy confirmed as a co-host for a couple of days. So he'll be coming in relief. Ben Anderson is warming up in the bullpen as we speak. He's done a fantastic job as our intern. So as a reward, Ben gets to add guest host to the resume for the entire week. He's going to have some co-hosts coming in with it. He hasn't even told me who he's got. I told him just to go out, have fun. He's already got Luke Creasy coming in next week. That should be fun. Have a great night, everyone. I'll be back with you tomorrow here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Retransmitting on Glorious FM on 94.1 W227BS Huntington. This is 930 WRVC Huntington, celebrating 100 years of broadcasting.